And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode number 76. When I think of the number 76, I think of, the centennial and bicentennial of the founding of our nation, 1776. If you ever see one of those quarters, it's kind of cool. This will be a tale of a very American van and American industry generally. So, without further ado, here we have a 1989 Ford Aerostar listed for $9,800 in St. Clairsville, Ohio. Very special one today, and obviously, as you can see, a beautiful livery, a beautiful paint scheme on this car, and right away you may see some gadgets and baubles and bolt-ons that insinuate that it is something a little special. And indeed it is. 1989 Ford Aerostar, driven NAN miles. I'm not sure, to be honest, what that means. Unrestored 30K mile Jayco conversion with added fridge, microwave, extended bed, and 120 volt connection. As close to factory condition as they come. And, no protest from me. This is a stunning example of an incredibly well-preserved low mileage Ford Aerostar and a camper conversion at that. We did feature another camper conversion that was very curious. It was built out of a extended cargo version, so it had the rear cargo doors. Wonderful paint scheme on it, but unfortunately it had quite a bit of damage on one side of it, and the interior was looking a little worse for wear. This, on the other hand, is just a really pristine example and would be an absolute showpiece in any collection or museum or anything of that nature. So I hope whoever buys this eventually does their best to preserve it, because you really are not going to find too many like this. I happen to love the paint scheme. The blue over gray is extremely 1989, and it just kind of works. I love the pinstriping. It's like a two-tone, but I always love when the two-tone kind of continues on to the other parts of the body. It wraps around the hood and with these like beautiful pinstripes here. I love the horizontal stripe on the hood right above the grille. It just gives a really cool look to it. Very period accurate and of the time, I should say. And just a great looking Aerostar. You have some running boards, you have some curtains in the rear, you have what looks like to be a luggage rack up here, and you have, of course, your rain guards, and you have your wonderful front lip spoiler with lights. Now, I have been looking at a couple of these. I have found a place that is claiming to sell them. They're not super cheap, but I always wanted one of these generally. I would love to get one specifically for my 1993 Ford Aerostar Sport, because I think it would look great with the running boards and the whole sort of, aesthetic package that they do on that. So it is obviously a camper, obviously your grille, a cool grille because it's your 3-spoke. This would be the first year, I believe, or second year of the 3-spoke grille with the Ford blue oval logo located in the center, but you still have your non-flush mounted headlights, so the transitionary years. I'm not skipping over, but I'm going through the basics very quickly because I want to get to sort of the meat and potatoes of this van. There's sort of a lot to talk about, and a real deep dive today here on Year of the Aerostar. So let's look at another picture. I love this shot where they turn the wheels and everything. White wall tires, which I really appreciate on an Aerostar. Now, I've seen Aerostars with white wall tires, but they are somewhat rare. I put white wall tires on my green 1993 Aerostar Sport. I think they look fantastic. These hubcaps, I'm not even sure if these are original to Ford or if maybe Jayco slapped those on there. I would love to see some painted steel wheels under there, but I gotta say, for a piece like this, it just looks really cool that it looks exactly as it left the factory. Even your running boards here, which are so prone to corrosion, maybe a tiny bit of discoloration there, but really not bad at all. And all the, the painted wheel well arches here, with a little bit of chrome trim down here to match your running board. It's just it's got a lot going on, but it doesn't look too busy. It's just sort of the right amount of, gussying up to let you know that it's something kind of special. Even your bumper here, it's when they were doing sort of this different, it's hard to tell in this picture, especially because it's backlit, but there's just a little slight different coloration in your darker blues on the bumper. And of course, it's not your plain gray bumper. It's got some or maybe it is your plain gray bumper. I honestly can't tell, but I think it's almost color matched to the body. So you can see the blue there is a little bit different. You have that on the front and the rear. Very nice looking. A little preview of the interior of this vehicle. Obviously your curtains. These camper conversions in like the 80s and 90s were so funny because, it reminds me of, like if you go look up a picture of like Barry White's bedroom, big Barry White fan, and just like the amount of carpeting and curtains, and a lot of people were like, heavy smokers in this time. You just imagine like the nicotine and tar and smoke just like seeping in and just saturating themselves in all these, linear feet of carpeting. But this one looks extremely, extremely clean. And I love the use of wood paneling. I've always wanted to do sort of like a wood paneling treatment to an Aerostar. It was kind of cool because, as we're going to learn a little bit about Jayco in this episode, but it's cool because they did a lot. You can even see on the windows, I didn't notice until I really looked, but they don't have this, the normal slider windows. They put different glass in here. So they, even though it looks like a lot like a stock Aerostar, there's a lot of little things they did. And obviously the interior gets a whole new treatment, more speakers, these sort of weird kangaroo pouch bags. So I don't want to say it looks amateurish, but when you're used to like build out quality of vehicles these days, it's all very tight and nicely done, but it's just funny how, it has just a little bit of that DIY. All this wood paneling that was used in so many like camper build outs and everything. It's a little clunky, it's a little bulbous, but overall it looks very, very nice. And obviously a lot of work to install all these things. And it even looks like you have like a curtain rod that separates your front from your back, your little privacy curtain there. So it really just is, those times. I especially love, the, heavy carpeted headliner there. And I love these sort of like, commercial airline lights and this long horizontal piece that runs through the center of the roof line of the van, again with more wood accents, and it's always the same sort of like maple color that they use. Even the seats are different, and we'll see some more pictures of this van in actually another post, which I'll get to, but they even went so far as to like kind of reupholster the seats, and they even almost seem to have a slightly different shape to them. So for just putting a gray interior in a van that probably already had a gray interior, it's funny the lengths that they went to add on to this vehicle to really make it, something different. Another fantastic shot here, and you can see just how clean it is, just how good condition the paint is in, and it looks fantastic in this rear three-quarter view, I think. Obviously the extended version, plenty of length here, and boy, it really does make you just want to hop in this thing and eat up miles on the highway. So I actually had multiple people send this to me, and thank you to everyone who sent me this. And it was in my 500-mile radius, so I kind of discovered it in my regular searching too. So I wanted to do some digging on this vehicle, and as is my wont, I am often scouring the internet for Aerostars generally. So I actually found a listing for this Aerostar. Now it says sold. Obviously they probably sold it to the person who's selling this Aerostar, because it is the same Aerostar. We can presume, because the mileage is 29,698, that it was, there hasn't been any buyers and sellers in between these two transactions, or in between this one transaction. You got your VIN number here, and there is just a plethora of photos. So let's look at some of the highlights. This beautiful, you don't always get this in marketplace listings, so it's kind of cool. And you can see there's a tiny bit of discoloration here, but it's not rusting. You can see these nice high resolution photos. Little lights in your running board, which I didn't notice, that are absolutely awesome. These amber lights here. And I can't tell if this is maybe even like a aftermarket, or they did something to the key lock, or maybe they just painted around it weird, but I wonder if they actually even changed the key lock slightly. Just a beautiful, beautiful van. You can see this little chrome strip down there, which again, it's so funny to me that, you know, the amount of actual stripes with all your mini pinstripes, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on your silver, 6 down here, and then and then 7 if you count the chrome on the running board. On top of all that, then they still added this chrome strip. So it's just so funny how sort of like overboard they went with the amount of stripes on the car. It's like, with all these stripes on it and the running board and the white wall tires, do you need to add any more, like, you know, chrome trim? And it's like, yes, we need to add more chrome trim. I love the little luggage rack here, in addition to the, you know, top front spoiler here. It just, I mean, it just has such a cool, striking presence. It looks so good with these front spoilers, I think, and just a wonderful, wonderful profile shot there. We can tour around. Some other interesting, now you see the Jayco logo here. That's really, really nice. It looks like a big, you know, three-dimensional metal logo. They just really don't make them like that anymore, which is cool. You have, wow, it even looks like you have Ebby Ford, the original manufacturer's dealer, which is funny because I wonder if Jayco actually bought this thing off the lot from a dealership and converted it. You know, if maybe they didn't even have like a connection with Ford corporate at that point, and they actually had to just buy it off the lot and convert it, which means this was probably a fairly expensive vehicle after the conversion. It's in, looks like Indiana somewhere, and that'll be relevant in a second. I also love how when they painted the stripe on the rear, which is kind of funny how this pinstripe even just matches perfectly with your little chrome around your tail light there. Just again, these really, really nice little touches. You can see just how wonderful the condition of the paint is with the light hitting it. You know, it's so rare to see an Aerostar with paint this nice. But I absolutely love how, you know, instead of keeping the stripe silver over the silver chrome Aerostar logo here, they actually painted around it in blue, or I should say left out blue, and they even, you know, took the shapely line of this A, which I always thought was cool because it mimics the actual, you know, front angle of the windshield and the hood line of the Aerostar. I thought that was such a cool touch on Ford's part. But then they actually cut around it, you know, and left this perfectly spaced little line around it, and it even dips up a little bit. So it's almost, it looks like almost like a little like cartoon, you know, text bubble that would come out of like a cartoon character's mouth, saying Aerostar, of course, which is always great. So that, you know, another little just wonderful little touch there. You can see the rear curtains here, the added brake light there. And just amazing to see so many beautiful pictures. The interior, again, like, I don't know if these are, looks like lap belts, but they look different than factory almost. And you can see there's no, just the shape of the benches and the contour lines, and it's not your usual two-tone seats. It's like they reupholstered the entire seat, which seems so strange to me, really. Like, they wouldn't really need to, especially if it had gray seats in it already. But they took the time to like really make it look different. And again, these seats, you know, the Ford had these integrated headrests with this gap here, which I think looks so cool. But the seat is just a little bit more shapely. Like, normally they just come straight up and be this like kind of big bulbous thing, but these look almost like a little bit more sporty. The patterns are different. Even the armrest looks like it's like the shape of it's just a little bit different. It's a little bit thicker. You can almost see like a stitch line here, where maybe that's where the original was. So just so many little things in here, little touches that Jayco did to like really make this thing stand out and be unique. Again, we'll look at this badge one more time, but just a beautiful Jayco badge. I mean, that thing alone is a cool piece of history. Another close-up shot of the Aerostar logo here. And you can almost see there's like a cut line right there or something like that. It's like they did this in 2 stages. I love just the little things that sort of give away just a little bit of their process. And again, the massive, wonderful wood treatment, you know, all this stuff, so unnecessary and I suppose luxurious at the time, but you know, it's just a big block of wood that they screwed in with exposed screws and then cut out for your window switches and stuff like that. And I'm not knocking them whatsoever. It's just funny that, you know, it looks like something someone would do in like shop class, you know, and again, it's not a knock on it. It just has that sort of, you know, rudimentary look to it, but I absolutely love it. And I love the time that they took to put this like little elements of elegance into the vehicle. So your pull-out, you know, coin and ashtray right there, your cup holder, which is even contoured perfectly to surround the shift lever so you can get into park without knocking up against it. Wonderful cover on your glove compartment there, which I think is wonderful, and they actually cut out a circle to get in there and open the latch, which I thought was nice, a nice touch there. And real wood, that's the funny thing is like everything's wood paneling these days, or simulated wood. So, say what you will, but it is like real wood they used, which is really cool. We'll see if we can get another close-up of this cup holder. And, just solid. All the little bevels and contours, yeah, it's like a little bulbous and bulky, but like, it's nicely done, it really is. A great shot of our automatic transmission shift lever here, which I absolutely love. It's just sort of definitely a sign of the times, and something very unique to the Aerostar, this giant floor-mounted shift lever. Looks like the carpeting may even be a little bit fluffier than was in the standard Aerostar. Get some more shots of this great, just exposed screws, obviously great, a lot of like, I don't know how the actual quality of the audio system, but with the rear entertainment system in the Aerostar, very ahead of its time. You can see the engine compartment, the 3-liter engine there. Everything looks very clean. All the wires look to be in very good condition. Looks like a brand new battery in there. Obviously more of an upscale Aerostar with a couple extra little options for defrosters, and it looks like probably your rear wiper there, which my 1986 does definitely not have. These two buttons right there. And you get a little tease of it right here with this, but we'll go to the full thing now. It's got the digital, 89 was the years of the digital dash display, and this is probably the best picture I've ever seen of it, so I'll share it with you all. Look at how bright and vibrant the colors are on this. Now these things would fade, much like very similar to the Corvette C4, I would say. See the original mileage of less than 30,000 miles. I'm not sure if the key's probably just in the accessory position. That's why the check engine light is on. Your beautiful, rounded tachometer, and your digital fuel gauge. And then I've talked about this before. This is your warning center. But I wonder if these seatbelt lights are even seat specific. Like I wonder if there's actually 6 of these lights in here, and it'll tell you which seat doesn't have their seatbelt on. Don't know about that. But your green profile of your vehicle, and then when a door's open, it shows you which door is open. And which is a funny thing, even on my 2015 Toyota Prius V, when there's a door open and I'm trying to drive away and it's beeping at me and says a door open, it's a hatchback, so there's 5 possible doors that could be open, and I don't know which one it is, and I have to try every single door, walk around, and then check the lights, see if that one was it. And this, back in 1989 was already more convenient than my Toyota Prius in 2015, because it tells you actually which door is open, which is just a small little practical thing, but it's so helpful, and so in the moment it's so nice to tell you exactly which door is open. So I think that's really cool. I'm assuming that it actually does that for the rest of the doors. Maybe it's just always the driver's door that it tells you, and I'm completely wrong about this, but I have to assume that they put the other lights in there for the other doors. So that's a really cool thing. Just little things like that are, if you like classic cars, you like all these little, all this little minutia. Your side door, you can see this is all, different. Your latch is the same, but your big kangaroo bag, your big heavy duty, maple door handle, which is really solid, and it looks like they put in some nice carpeting here instead of the regular door panel. And it looks like they even carpeted the little plastic tabs that go in to hold your door cards in. And even this is like sort of 3-dimensional cut out. Again, it's very simple and it looks kind of like crude, but you really appreciate the time that went into it and the detail that was spent. Again, carpeting these little plastic tabs is like, it's just little touches like that I really, really appreciate. And what a treat to have this listing here. A great shot of the headliner here, again, with your like airline headlights. Again, everything just looks in such good condition. And I gotta think that, even your seats have bags on them. Looks like, do we have I want to see the shot now. I'm getting distracted. But I'm wondering if this is if there's captain's chairs. Yeah, so we have captain's chairs with the bags still on them. Look at how luxurious that looks. Looks like a limousine. Look at how much room your passengers have. And then even beyond that, then you have another bench seat beyond that, which I'm guessing turns into a bed, or maybe the new owner put the bed in. We don't know. This is we're doing the best we can with our Aerostar sleuthing, but it looks like they've removed the captain's chairs. I wonder if they come with the vehicle or not. So, and lest we forget, a great CB radio in here. It's got the squelch on it, and you got your long, sort of braided cord here. Braided is not the right word. Your curly cord with your, microphone there, so you can go breaker 19er. Come up with a cute Aerostar name for your tag name. Your call name. Again, even look at the carpet in the driver's compartment. Even that, that's the first thing to go on any car, and even that looks to be in very, very nice condition. Your lights down here, for practicality, even your driver's seat looks to be in good condition. So just an amazing, amazing time capsule. And I'll go ahead and read this. This is gonna be a long episode, so just soak it in. Can you believe? Okay, here's the description. Collector quality, and I agree with that, 1989 Ford Aerostar. Can you believe that we are talking about a collector quality minivan from the 1980s? Well, if you're watching Year of the Aerostar, you probably can, but to the general public, maybe not. Well, we are. One of the nicest Ford Aerostar minivans in the country, also agreed, in the world. This is a time capsule 1989 Ford Aerostar minivan with a Jayco conversion, near perfect condition, one owner vehicle, two probably now, very low original miles, just under 30,000. Powered by a 3.0 liter V6 engine and backed by an automatic transmission. I like that, backed by an automatic transmission. Loaded with options like power steering, power brakes. I like how they're bragging about power steering. I would hope you have power steering on a vehicle of this size and weight. Power brakes, power windows, power locks, cruise control, air conditioning, and AM/FM stereo. The Jayco conversion added more options like upholstered and insulated walls, color-coordinated drapes and shroud, interior reading lights, fold-down rear sofa, custom paint graphics, roof rack, and, oh, I'm sorry, it's not maple, it's oak. Oak wood interior trim pieces. This vehicle is still on the original title and in like-new condition. Now, I have a hypothesis here. The overall condition of the minivan makes it a one-of-a-kind collectible that you never see in a collection or at the car shows. Be the first. And ladies and gentlemen, if I had the funds, I would be the first. But sadly, I leave it up to you, rich connoisseurs of Ford Aerostars. Or any collection, really. I always say this about the Aerostar. You take this to Radwood, you take this to a car show, I guarantee you're going to have a lot of attention because you just don't see things like this that often. And the Aerostar is funny because people, they'll balk at it at first, and then before you know it, they'll be telling a story about some friend they had whose parents owned an Aerostar, or their parents owned an Aerostar, maybe even they drove one as their first car, and all of a sudden, the stories keep coming back, rising to the surface, and they didn't even realize how much affinity they had for this van until they see it in person. Now, my hypothesis is that perhaps this, and I don't know this, but perhaps this seller on Marketplace, perhaps they're the proprietor of this dealership. That's one hypothesis, and they just, it wasn't selling, so they decided to sell it privately. Or perhaps they purchased it and then, for whatever reason, are passing it on, but they've driven it, less than 1,000 miles since they bought it. So, maybe change the circumstances, but very interesting. Interesting to see what happened between, it being sold here and it being resold again. The other little piece of sleuthing that we did is that I found another listing. So this is being sold at Rock Solid Motorsports, which is in Elkhart, Indiana, not far from where Jayco started, and obviously there was the dealership badge on the Ford from Indiana. Now, just for purposes, this vehicle is listed in St. Clairsville, Ohio. St. Clairsville, Ohio is 5 hours and 37 minutes, 358 miles from Elkhart, Indiana. So if this person, and this is why maybe this is not the proprietor of this dealership, because, this person conceivably bought this vehicle in Elkhart and then drove it to St. Clairsville, or maybe it was delivered. But either way, that, it's a pretty far ways away if they weren't working or didn't own that dealership. So maybe they did buy it and drove it and just are moving on from it now. Who knows? Now, the other hypothesis, and this comes to the last piece of information we have for you, I found on motorious.com, which I suppose is some sort of Now it says sold, obviously. Some sort of aggregator site that lists other listings or something like that. It says dealer inventory, dealer website, being dealership info, Rock Solid Motorsports. So it says sold, but on Rock Solid, I couldn't get a price that it was sold for. It's already been sold, so there's no price listed. On Motorious, which is like in sort of an archive of this other for sale posting, it says $89.95 that it's being listed at. Now on the marketplace article, it's being listed for $9,800, which is a difference of just about $1,000 or $1,800. So the other hypothesis is that they're trying to flip this vehicle. They bought it and thought it was cool and thought perhaps it was undervalued, being a one owner classic show quality Aerostar, and they said, "Man, I'll buy this, drive it for a year or a few weeks, and then I'll move on and maybe even get more than I paid for it and actually flip it." So that's the other hypothesis. We really don't know. But if you look here, there are some other classic cars in this window bay. I can't tell what this is. I'm not good with my sort of like 50s and 60s cars. This looks like a very older 20s or 30s automobile there lurking in the shadows. So, maybe they do own the dealership and they've retired, to Ohio or something like that, and they just brought the van with them and now they're trying to sell it on the private market for more than it was listed for. They say in the art world, if it doesn't sell, double the price, like as if to say, like, people will value things higher when other people say they're worth more. And so, listed for $8,900 here and now being listed for $9,800. So perhaps, they figure just raise the price and all of a sudden people will realize how great it is and all of a sudden they'll want to buy it for a higher price. We don't know, but it certainly is an intriguing story, and the subject of the story, this 1989 Ford Aerostar, is certainly, a worthy protagonist in that story. So I just thought that was cool. I thought, the van itself, obviously very cool, and then to be able to see a little bit of its history, a ton of pictures and a great write-up on it, I thought was really just nice. So I thought I'd give you the whole tour. Now, the last thing we'll do, if you're still with us here, is we'll get a quick lesson on Jayco. So Jayco itself is a very interesting company. I'm sure you've seen a million Jayco trailers and campers, flying over the freeways and throughways. So Jayco Incorporated, a subsidiary of Thor Industries, who they are now owned by, is an American manufacturer of recreation vehicles. History. This will be brief, so stick with us. The company was founded in 1968 by Lloyd and Bertha Bontrager. Bontrager developed a trailer fold-down system in 1967 and started the business of making travel trailers in 2 chicken houses and a barn. How's that for a small business entrepreneurial success story? In the first year of operations, the company sold 132 trailers in the first year, and by the end of 1968, it had 15 employees. That is they say most businesses don't turn a profit for 3 years if they even survive. At the end of his first year in business, or their first year in business, I should say, the Bontragers had already 15 employees, sold 132 trailers. The company continued to grow, and in 1970 built another plant in Harper, Kansas. Okay, the energy crunch of the 1970s hit them. You got adversity coming into the story. Late 1980s and early 90s, they also suffered another slowdown due to the high price of gasoline. But the company recovered to become the second largest U.S. manufacturer of towable products by 1995. They even acquired Integra Coach in 2008, StarCraft in 1991, and Highland Ridge. So they were acquiring other companies. Now, some tragedy, like every story has. On Easter Sunday, 1985, Lloyd Bontrager was killed when his small airplane crashed in the vicinity of Muncie, Indiana. His wife, Bertha, became chairman of the board at Jayco, and later her sons, Wilbur and Daryl, assumed leadership roles within the company. Currently, Daryl Bontrager is president and CEO. So still a family business, although they were sold to Thor Industries in July 2016 for $576 million. So it started out in, 2 chicken houses and a barn with a patent for this collapsible trailer. There you go. And Now it is a $576 million company. So that's like sort of the American dream right there. They've sold over 1 million products, and at least one of them was a Ford Aerostar, of which there were 2 million sold. So two, you know, sort of American success stories, Ford and Jayco combining to make this absolutely wonderful 1989 Ford Aerostar Jayco conversion. You know, if that's not a piece of automotive history worth investing $10,000 in, I don't know what is. So, you know, Jay Leno, if you're listening, I know you're not a van guy, but, you know, maybe go ahead and pick this up, add it to your collection, preserve it, and, you know, take it for a ride. Show it off on your fine program that you have there on YouTube. There you have it. That's, you know, and that, we're all, you know, there's a theme here tying back to the 1776 bicentennial Year of the Aerostar, episode 76. We have sort of the Americana thing going on. So, you know, I try to, you know, make these things cohesive and operate at many different levels in my own way. So there you have it. Another episode of Year of the Aerostar in the books here on Janky AF. Thank you so much for joining. Janky do thanky, as we always say. We love bringing you these Aerostars, and we hope you appreciate imbibing them in your own way. So, just speechless. Just a really, really beautiful Aerostar, very unique. I wonder how many Jayco conversions they made. I would love to know that, of the Aerostar in particular. And I wonder how many are out there, and I'd be willing to bet 0 are out there in better condition than this one. So, grab it now while it's hot. Maybe you can, you know, dicker the seller down and you know, say, I watched Year of the Aerostar episode 76, and I know for a fact that was listed for only $8,900, so I'm not paying you $9,800, and you could, you know, shrewdly negotiate in the style of Ed Bolian from VinWiki. Okay, I'm just blathering now, so probably time to wrap up the episode. Janky do thanky to everyone again for watching. And we'll have more Aerostar videos coming for you very soon. I promise you that. And until then, Janky do thanky.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.